our goal with containment. Every time I draw, in order to not be intimidated by a white piece of paper, I draw a frame. I sketch like this. You've seen me do it. I'm doing it right now to contain the word containment. So every time I draw a frame around something, I'm containing my composition. If you think of it like that, you won't have any problem completing this. Again, don't overthink it. But just like the others, how do we stay away from the frame? Or rather, the rectangle, the traditional frame, the rectangle. How do we move beyond just a rectangle? Let's look at some examples. So there's my frame. I'm containing that space. But beyond this, I want to try my hand again. I'm trying to work diagonally. Always try to work diagonally. A lot of power comes from that diagonal composition. There's the other edge of my frame. Notice my frame goes off, or my containment goes out of page or out of the composition. And I'm just doing some simple patterning here. Repeated pattern, almost like a glyph or a language, or maybe it's even architecture. And I just want to add some small details to this. Perhaps this will change if I ink this in. Remember that I like to work with primitive shapes and simple shapes, and maybe this is a stand-in for something more complex. I'm going to fill in these little squares. And that's my first containment. And again, play along with diagonals there. And the containment doesn't necessarily have to be all visible. Remember, things or elements that go off the page are always adding more interest. And I'll keep that in mind as I work with this one. I'll go ahead and fill this. Another one of my favorite things to do is to erase into an already darker valued shape. So it's almost like hunting for treasure for me. Or if you've ever heard that old story about how Michelangelo, whenever he carved masterpieces out of stone, he would always comment that, I always see the figure inside the stone. I'm just chipping away at what isn't necessary. In a lot of ways, I think of it like that. Searching for things that are buried inside of this dark void. And so I'm making these kind of amoeba or amorphous type shapes with these little nodules on them. And I'll keep with this same theme. So focus on keeping a theme. I think that'll make it easier for you. Also, try your hand at this kind of erasing into negative spaces. It's a lot of fun. And again, always make sure to contain your composition in interesting ways. Don't just opt for the traditional frame, rectangular frame. Go beyond that.